What's up, people? Me again, Mr. B, and welcome again back to the channel. Now, today I want to take a look at what I refer to as political symbolism versus real leadership in the face of Jamaica's hurricane recovery. Now, today, being Tuesday, marks the entry of the beginning of the second week since Jamaica was hit by Hurricane Melissa. And instead of getting better with the handling of the recovery efforts, we seem to be going in the opposite direction. The current Prime Minister, JLP's Andrew Holness, and opposition PNP leader Mark Golding executes a most public display of indifference and malice towards each other, with neither intending to give any quarter. Now, against this background, we were greeted this morning with the news in the paper that two of Jamaica's retired prime ministers, PJ Patterson, now 90 years old, and Bruce Golding, now 77, have been invited to join the recovery effort. Now, let me just point out that what it seemed to me is that the powers that be is attempting to frame all of this as a moment of national unity. On the surface, it is an image designed to inspire. Of course, two elder statesmen, one from the PNP, one from the JLP, coming together for what is being deemed the greater good. Now, while nothing is wrong with that, I mean, it's, the reality, the reality is what we need to look at. Beyond the optics, there is a much harder truth that Jamaicans must pay attention to, right? Both men, though respected for their service to the country over the years, have no actual role in governance or management of Jamaica today. They hold no executive authority, no budgetary control, and of course, no administrative reach. In other words, their inclusion, while symbolic, and it's symbolically comforting, is effectively ceremonial. It is an attempt to project political harmony where in reality there is none. Meanwhile, the country continues to grapple with the fallout from Hurricane Melissa, which, as I said before, has entered its second week with rising death tolls, hunger, and widespread destitution across the affected areas of the country. Yet there has been no visible display of cohesive leadership at the national level. Instead, Jamaicans are witnessing a very public Cold War between the current Prime Minister, Andrew Holness from the JLP, and the opposition leader, Mark Golding of the PNP, two men whose mutual disdain appears to override any shared sense of urgency for Jamaica. In the absence of real collaboration, the opposition has launched its own independent recovery initiative. It may appear commendable, it certainly sounds so, in terms of its intent, but clearly it is constrained by the lack of access to critical government resources and coordination mechanisms. This duplication of effort not only weakens efficiency, but it also underscores the widening disconnect between the way how Jamaica practices practices its politics and its concern for its people. And while this political theater continues, we see where local government minister Desmond McKenzie, who is one of the persons in charge of the recovery effort, he has been mounting a defensive posture against critics who are and he was insisting that the government is doing its best. What he seems oblivious to, however, is the human cost behind the statements that he has been making. At least 38 people have now been reported as dead from the hurricane effect, and that number will undoubtedly increase as time passes and as the search for the missing continues. Those familiar with disaster know that the first 48 hours in a situation like this, immediately after the rain stopped fall and the breeze stopped blowing, the first 48 hours of after the storm is the most critical period. That time is usually reserved for what is referred to in the disaster management community as search and rescue. After that, after those 48 hours, right, what comes behind it is what is referred to as recovery, which too often in our context means the grim task of collecting bodies. Yet instead of leading a coordinated rescue effort, the government's principal output has been a series of press conferences, statements, and photo opportunities without any seriously meaningful action. In other words, it is, in my opinion, sound without substance. In a moment that demands competence and compassion, the administration is offering neither. What Jamaica needs now is not another televised information briefing, but a visible, functional disaster management command, properly resourced and empowered to restore order, to provide relief, and give people a reason to have some hope. Now, I believe that Jamaica stands at a crossroads, not just in the wake of the big national natural disaster, but at a moral and political one. Hurricane Melissa stripped away not only the roof and the roads and the trees and the branches, but the illusion that leadership can survive on public relations alone. What it has done is that it has laid bare the weakness at our institutions, the absence of empathy in governance, and the peril of politics without purpose. Yet within the wreckage lies an opportunity to rebuild not just the structures but standards, to return to a form of leadership that listens before it speaks, that acts before it advertises, and that understands that every Jamaican life is worth more than any political party line. If there is to be any true legacy from this tragedy, it must be that Jamaica rediscovers its capacity to care about the people of Jamaica, to put people before politics and humanity above headlines. The world is watching us, right? But more importantly, Jamaicans are watching. What we do next will define not only who we are, but long after the waters recede and the cameras move on. It is going to require a united effort. And certainly what we see taking place here, I mean, people watching, we see it. And so these press conferences are meaningless when you're trying to basically present fluff. The country deserves better than that. Tell me what you think about what we think. Let me, see your feedback in the comment section. If you like the video, hit the like button. And if you have not yet done so, subscribe to the channel so that when we drop these commentaries and opinion pieces, you're going to be the first to hear. You know, we try to stay away from the partisan politics and just to report the issues and the facts. So, let me hear your voice again. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. More time.